welcome to Historical Airsoft. Right off the bat, I'd like to apologize to all the viewers for the lack of content we've been putting out lately. We've all been super busy, but now we're finally able to get back into it and start producing the content that you guys enjoy. Also, I'd like to thank you all for continuing to watch our videos while we've been too busy to make them. I've seen the channel grow quite a lot. We're sitting at about 470 subscribers right now, which is great. So, thank you for not letting the channel die while we have had to step back. Alright, we're going to jump into the actual review now. And today we're taking a look at the ARES L1A1 SLR. So I purchased this rifle from Reveiw about a year and a half ago for $450, which is definitely a very steep price. This is by far the most expensive rifle I own. I had to sell another one of my rifles in order to help fund it at the time, but I definitely didn't regret it. I've enjoyed this rifle a lot for the time that I've had it, and it was the first historical rifle I got that catapulted me into the realm of historical airsofting and reenacting, which led to this channel being created. So I'm thankful for it for that reason. So I've had this rifle for a long time, but I've been hesitant to make a review on it. The reason for that is there are a couple modifications I've made to it which make it a little bit different from the stock version that you get. None of them are internal. Internally, this is completely stock, but right now I'm going to go out of the way and talk about the changes that I made to it. So, first thing is this rifle is only supposed to be in semi-automatic. When I talk about the history in a little bit, I'll tell you more about that. But the ARES version, it is possible to make it go to full auto. The only thing stopping it is the actual switch itself. You can see right here, this used to stick out in a big triangle, and it would stop right here on this part of the upper receiver. However, the only thing that you need to make it go to full auto is to buy a part that has this rounded off. I didn't want to pay 20 bucks for a switch, so I just ground it down myself, and it was able to swing all the way over here. You might notice that it looks a little bit shitty around the switch. After I did that, the switch was a little bit loose. Hopefully it would be better if you decided to purchase the actual switch itself, but I didn't do that. So I have Gorilla Tape on there to help hold the switch in place. Also, I have paracord rigged up right at the end of the receiver. So the upper and lower receiver assembly are a little bit loose from each other, and the rifle splits directly. All of this is one big solid piece, and all of this down here is one big solid piece. And with that being the only major place for anything to wiggle, all of it is directed right there, and there was a little bit of give between the two pieces. You can tighten a little screw in here when you disassemble it, which I've done, but that still isn't really enough to hold it together as much as I would have liked. So, right after the first game of having this rifle, I rigged together some paracord to help hold it in place. Hopefully, it's just a dud, and my version, my rifle, is the only one to have that problem, but who knows. But keep that in mind if you're thinking about purchasing this rifle. Alright, historical background. So, World War II ends, NATO is formed, Cold War starts, right? So, NATO wants to find a battle rifle to use across all countries. Same caliber, same rifle, that was the goal at the beginning. Good old US of A here, they said, nah, we're going to use 308, and no one wanted to argue with the US, so they said, okay, we'll use 308. So, FN developed the FNFAL, of course, and it was really popular among most nations in NATO. The United States said, no, we're going to use our own M14. So, the FNFAL had to be made in 308 because of the United States, but the United States didn't end up using it. There's lots more detail you can find about that in tons of videos online. It's a super interesting and funny story. Anyway, the United Kingdom, their version was the L1A1 SLR, which is this rifle right here, which stands for self-loading rifle. So their version, of course, the main difference between their version and the normal FN version was that it could only go to semi-automatic, as well as being significantly longer. So there's a little bit of historical background about this rifle for you. Alright, we're going to start at the top or the front of the rifle and just work our way down. So, the rifle is advertised to not come with this flash hider right here. It's advertised on Reveiw as just having threads right about right here, and you would have needed to purchase the flash hider separately, which is what I did, because the rifle would look super weird with just a flat barrel cutting off right there with threads on the end. So I purchased the flash hider. Well, I was a little bit disappointed to find that it came with a flash hider. Maybe the Reveiw employee made a mistake and threw a second one in the box for me, but the rifle came with two, and I ended up with an extra flash hider, so that was a little heard that you can attach an actual L1A1 bayonet to it. I have no idea. If you have one, you can try it out, but yeah, who knows on that one. The gas block assembly is quite nice. The front sling mount is super duper solid. I've never run a sling on this rifle, but if you wanted to, I'm sure it would work completely fine for you and wouldn't have any problems with it. This front sight, of course, is nice. I'll talk about the sights later. Right here, they've got the gas adjustment, which on the Airsoft rifle does nothing, but it's a nice nod to the real one, and very, very good for a reproduction. Moving down to the actual grip itself, the plastic is really, really good. You can get it in wood, and with a wood stock and wood handguard as well, but I decided to go with the plastic. It feels great. It feels better than my Classic Army M16A1. Very, very solid. Externally, overall, this rifle is super duper good. We'll touch on that later, but yeah, grip is great. Carry handle, right here, is excellent. At the beginning, when you first get it, it is a little bit stiff, but after time using it, it works completely fine. I do find myself using this, carrying it from place to place at games, because it is a bit heavy. So I'm a big fan of the carry handle. Oh, also the wooden version has a wooden carry handle, which looks super nice. On the other side, of course, you have the charging handle, which I'm a big fan of. It feels great. This clicks out like that. It snaps forward. It's great metal. Everything's all metal on this rifle except for the grips and the carry handle and stuff like that, where it wasn't metal on the real one. One thing that is annoying is when you do that, the actual part that folds down snaps forward, which is a little bit annoying, but again, not a major issue. On the other side, of course, you do have the ejection port and the bolt in there, revealing your hop-up, which is a really, really nice rotary hop-up. I'm a big fan of this, extremely easy to use. Nothing is overcomplicated in there. So, all of that is great. You can purchase from ARES an upper receiver assembly right here that has a rail on it, so you could put a sight on it. I've disassembled this rifle, and it feels really, really stiff. So if you were to do that, you'd probably have, I know I would have trouble getting that piece off to replace with the one with the rail. So keep that in mind. The trigger is super nice. It is perfect reproduction of the real one with the little pin in there, which actually activates the weapon. So that's great. The magazine release is, again, I'm a big fan of it. On the other side, you have this thing right here. To release the mag, you just hit that with your thumb, and the mag rocks out. And then rock it right back in like that. Nice, satisfying click. Super great. One thing to keep in mind with the magazines, though, is there's no high-capacity magazines. I'm not a fan of high-capacity magazines. I usually use some mid-cap magazines anyway, but it was a little bit annoying when I purchased the rifle and only had one magazine, having to carry a speed load around at games and reload my single magazine before I could start shooting again. Luckily, because this gun is mostly only used on semi-auto, it wasn't that big of a problem. The magazine quality is great, and I would definitely recommend getting more of them. Keep in mind, Evike has them for $60 for whatever reason, but you can find them for $25 or $30 on Airsoft Megastore. It might be $15, I don't remember. I've had this rifle for a long time, and I bought my extra magazines a while ago. But that is all super duper nice. The grip feels super solid. It doesn't feel like it moves at all. Same with the stock. Absolutely great stock. I'm a huge, huge fan of it. To access the battery compartment, all you do is swing it open like this, and it's held in place, and it snaps right back in. It, of course, has a mini Tamiya connector, fairly standard. I myself run a 7.4 Titan Power lithium-ion battery in it, and it works super well. A lot of people run 11.1 LiPos. I'm sure that works equally well. So I love the stock. You have a rear sling mount, and again, that feels absolutely solid, doesn't move at all. Alright, so now let's move on to another great thing about this rifle. All of the markings that would be on a real L1A1 SLR are on this one. All of the serial numbers, all of the markings for semi, full auto, everything is right where it should be, which is really, really great for an airsoft rifle. Usually they get it sometimes right, or they have nothing at all. Usually it's not a problem. It doesn't really matter for airsoft at all. But for reenacting, living history, anything like that, it's really great to have those numbers on there. Just about identical to what would be on a real L1A1. The rear sight I'm also a huge fan of. It's quite snappy and great. It snaps up just like that, and then you can move it from position to position, and it flicks very, very nicely from position to position. I'm a huge fan of that. One thing that you do have to keep in mind is the sights itself were a little bit off when I first got my rifle. For a little while, I was confused. I thought that the rifle itself might have a slight bend to it because of how long it was or something, which is ridiculous to think now. What it really was is the entire front sight block assembly, or gas block assembly, was shifted a little bit. So all I had to do was disassemble it, and then when I reassembled it, making sure that everything was lined up straight. But keep that in mind if you do purchase this rifle, that if your sights are way off from where the BBs are going, it's because of that, and you don't need to adjust the sight left and right too much, which is just done with screws on either side in there, which is what I was trying to do for a while before I realized that was stupid and I was making a big mistake. So, what you should, when disassembling this rifle, you have this right here, which is right where it would be on the real one, which you just pull straight out, which allows for this to fold forward. Of course, when doing that, you want to make sure that your magazine is out, you have everything disassembled in here, so it's not exactly like a real rifle where it can just fold open, but it does follow the same basic design and basic idea. While I do like that, I think that that is what causes the problem of the upper receiver and lower part separating from each other and wiggling around a bit. Again, that's why I have paracord on there. It's cool that they tried to replicate it, but it wasn't done as well as I think it could have been. And yeah. So now let's talk about the internals of this rifle. Internally, the gearbox is 100% proprietary, which you generally want to avoid when purchasing an airsoft gun. Basically, that means that everything on the inside is its own part. It has to be bought from ARES. Very, very hard to easily modify because you have slim pickings for what parts that you want to put in there, or replacement parts if something breaks. Because of that, there are mechanical issues inside this rifle. The first time that I took it out into a game, after 3 shots, the gears jammed up. And as you avid airsoft players know, the best way to stop a gear from gears jamming up is just to switch it to full auto or switch it from full to semi, and that usually does the trick. But again, the problem was I couldn't switch it to full auto, so I had to disassemble the rifle in a firefight in order to swing it to full auto, unjam it, and then swing it back, and then reassemble it, which was ridiculous, and I knew that that was an immediate problem that needed to be fixed. And that's the only reason that I have it, so I can go to full auto, is specifically so I can stop the gears from jamming, which became a reoccurring problem, as well as connection issues. This is another big problem with this rifle. Sometimes, in battle, you're shooting, click, 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 nothing's happening. You don't know what it is. You try to figure it out. Is it the gearbox? No, can't be the gearbox. It's not like anything is jammed up in there, it's problematic. It's very problematic. The way that it is actually activated is there's a little nub in here internally that the whole trigger system activates, which then activates the gearbox, and that can easily be messed up. I'm not sure why. So this rifle is fairly ridden with mechanical issues, and it hasn't seen combat for a while because of that reason alone, because it does have those mechanical issues. Hopefully it's just because mine was a dud. Something went wrong in the factory. Another problem, I'm no tech. I do not know a whole lot about taking airsoft guns, how to fix them. And I have just been too lazy to take it into the shop and pay money to fix what's probably a small problem. So it is on me, but keep in mind that this rifle internally is messy and a little bit annoying. As far as range and accuracy goes, it's great though. You get that long barrel, you have a really nice seal, hop up is great. All of that is really, really good. And in some ways almost makes up for the stupid mechanical issues. There have been days where I've gone out, used this rifle for hours, big games. It's been completely fine, not a single problem. There have been other days where it just stops working completely and I have to use a backup rifle. I never go to a game with just this rifle. I can't rely on it, and that's a big problem for me. And and I'm sure it's a big problem for everyone else too. So yeah, keep that in mind. I've been able to take some pretty long shots with this. It's really satisfying watching those BBs fly straight and far. I usually use 0.3 gram BBs in this. You could probably use higher. I wouldn't recommend going any lower. I don't remember the FPS. I had it chronoed at one point, and it was about 430 with 0.2 gram BBs. So, of course, that creeps down a bit when you use heavier BBs, but it makes up for it a lot with the accuracy and then the power that those BBs hit the target with. Overall, externally, this rifle is excellent. That's where its strong point is. And I think that's how ARES was able to justify that $450 price point, is because on the outside, this rifle feels great. There's nothing that I don't like about the externals and all the outside parts, except for this little separation issue. And again, hopefully that's because mine is probably a dud. But for that reason, because everything's so accurate and done so well and so solidly, I see this rifle used by Falkland war reenactors or Legion reenactors all the time. So if you're a reenactor looking for an FNFAL or specifically an L1A1, I would definitely recommend this to you. Of course, if you get a real one, it's always better for reenacting. But if you can't, this is definitely a good substitute. I would recommend it. For an airsofter, I don't know as much. I mean, it is nice. If yours works well, it's absolutely a great rifle, but the mechanical problems that I've continuously had with mine make me feel like I can't recommend it, because, you know, a big part of airsoft is reliability and being able to go out on the field any day and know that your rifle's going to work, and that's just not the story with this one. I still like it, and I've had a lot of fun with it back in the time when it worked more solidly, but at this point, it doesn't hold up to the $450 that I paid for. Alright, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We've got lots more videos coming down the pipeline for you. More gun reviews, gear reviews, loadout videos, all sorts of things like that. And eventually we do plan on actually putting out gameplay, so keep your eyes tuned on that. And I'd like to give a quick shout out to my friend Nomad Productions. He's a great guy, does really good historical videos, does tons of World War II stuff, historical stuff. Excellent channel. Please check him out. And everyone, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you later.